A lion ate its owner is a headline we'd all expect. A hamster ate its owner? Well, there's a headline you'll rarely see in a newspaper. Speaking of which, this is a hamster that feasted on the owner. When you hear about animals eating humans, you think of people with a pet lion in their home. But what if we told you that a pet hamster managed to kill one of its owners? That's right, one woman was found dead in her apartment and the woman's face had scratch marks all over it. Apparently, she was being scavenged upon by her pet hamster. It was a free-range golden hamster that apparently took the woman's life. The investigators got curious, so they began digging further and further into this case. Upon closer inspection, they found a drawer that hid some ghastly secrets. You see, the hamster was building a burrow for itself, a burrow made up of human skin, muscle, and fat. Guess the hamster wanted to play Hannibal Lecter. Next up, we have Rocco, the pit bull. Pit bulls are considered one of the most dangerous dog breeds in the world. They're banned in many countries, but not in the UK. Joanne Robinson, a mother of two, and her partner James Stead adopted 2 pit bulls 2 years ago. Rocco, the male, and Lola, the female, lived happily in the British county of South Yorkshire alongside their owners. They were treated well and properly fed. Then something happened. Strange sounds started coming from the couple's house at around 10 p.m. one evening. The neighbors heard the sounds but didn't pay much attention to them. At that time, Rocco grabbed Joanne by the throat and started mauling her. While she was trying to fight for her life, Lola joined in the fight. The female attacked James Stead and delivered some serious bite marks and tore off some of his flesh. James managed to survive the attack, but Joanne wasn't as lucky. She died on the spot, killed by the dog she'd fed and cared for years. When their children were asked to comment on the event, they said the dogs never behaved violently. The family believes that the dogs went mad because of the heat. We don't know how hot it was in Yorkshire that day, but that's no excuse. Kellyanne Walls was an exotic pet enthusiast that passed away after a bear attack. She wanted to keep pets that no one else had kept before. That's probably why at the age of 37 she was the proud owner of an African lion, a Bengal tiger, and a black bear. And it's this last one that proved to be deadly. The 3 animals were kept in separate cages, but that didn't mean they were happy. One day, while Kellyanne was cleaning the cage of her black bear after feeding it dog food, the black bear fatally wounded Kelly. She turned her back on the bear, and as soon as she did, the bear struck from behind and bit her. The neighbors called the authorities, but by the time they arrived, it was already too late. And now comes Ricky Weinhold and the bull. Ricky Weinhold loved the cattle he owned. Every day, he'd spend more and more time with them. As one of the cows was about to give birth, Ricky spent a lot of time in the barn. There was room for a domestic bull inside the barn in Philadelphia, but then tragedy struck. You see, the day before his 53rd birthday, as Ricky was spending time with his cows, one of his 1-ton bulls attacked him. The man couldn't bear the injuries, became sick, and died soon afterward. This woman was almost eaten alive by a 12-foot python. According to experts, this attack was a case of mistaken identity. What's that mean? Well, apparently the 12-foot python mistook the leg of the victim as the entire victim and attacked. An Australian scrub python was living in the woodland in the Cape York Peninsula, Australia. In February 2014, the snake was fitted with a radio transmitter, and in March, the snake got close to the house of Leanne Mears, a mother of 2 young children. The authorities informed Leanne about the snake and told her to keep the windows shut. She did keep them shut for the first few weeks, then it became really hot one evening. Leanne kept the windows in her children's rooms closed, but left her door open. That's when the 12-foot python struck and woke her up at 2:28 a.m. The snake had coiled around her left leg, but Leanne managed to get away unharmed. Some say the snake couldn't have eaten or ingested Leanne. Snakes know when prey is too large for them, so they think the python mistook her leg as the prey and struck. And then we have the pet ferret. They might look cute at first, but owners must remember that these are wild animals. They have teeth that are as sharp as those of a piranha. Many people keep them for their agility, but that's the last thing you'd want when this little guy starts developing a taste for human flesh. One night, a family from Missouri was awakened by their crying baby. They figured the baby was either hungry or needed a diaper change, so they walked inside the room completely unaware of what was happening. The ferret has gnawed off 7 of the baby's 10 fingers. They managed to scare the ferret away and save the baby. The baby was immediately rushed to the hospital and the ferret was killed. But that's not all. There was another seemingly identical story, but with a much more gruesome ending. One family kept 3 ferrets as pets. One night, they awoke to the cries of their baby, and as they walked into their drawing room, they realized that their newborn had been attacked by all 3 ferrets. Sandra L. Payavasan found a pack of 9 wolf dogs in the wild that eventually took her life. She took them home, raised them, and was devoted to them like a mother was devoted to her children. But all of that unqualified love they gave her came with a qualification. It turns out they were waiting for her to get big enough so there'd be enough for all 9 to feast upon. One day, Sandra didn't show up for a meeting with her daughter. Wondering what happened to Sandra, her estranged father went to her home and found Sandra's body inside the cage, half eaten by the wolf dogs. Next comes Pam Weaver's camel. Pam Weaver was supposed to receive a llama or an alpaca from her husband for her 60th birthday. But because they were too costly, the family opted for a camel instead. However, this wasn't your everyday camel. The 330-pound camel was known for its strange behavior. One day, the camel knocked Pam to the ground and tried to have sex with her. The crushing weight of this animal was enough to suffocate Pam, and she died due to the unbearable pressure. Let's not forget about Hippo Humphrey. Marius Heiss, an African farmer, called his hippo pet Humphrey his son. They were really close, and the man loved the animal. The animal seemed to love the man, but then again, hippos are the only animal responsible for a large number of human deaths in Africa. They're large, they're scary, and they're not afraid to fight. One day, Marius was found floating in the local river. After careful examination, it was found that the body had been half eaten by Humphrey, the hippo he called his son. Of course, there's Timothy Treadwell's bear. Timothy Treadwell is a bear enthusiast and a documentary filmmaker who was killed by a bear. He founded an organization called Grizzly People and lived in Katmai National Park in Alaska for 13 summers and was surrounded by grizzly bears. He became so popular that at the beginning of the new millennium, Timothy was traveling across the U.S. teaching children about bears. He even made appearances on popular talk shows like Late Show with David Letterman, Dateline NBC, and the Discovery Channel. To say that the man was in love with bears would be an understatement, but ironically, the animal he vowed to protect with his life ended up taking his life. On October 5, 2003, at the age of 46, Timothy and his girlfriend Annie set up a camp near a salmon stream, a common feeding ground for bears. They contacted one of their associates in Malibu by satellite phone on October 5th, and on October 6th, the man came to pick them up by air taxi. At one point, Timothy even said that he felt safer around bears than he did around humans in big cities. Oh, how he would regret those words. When the associate arrived on October 6th, he found the campsite abandoned and only saw one bear. He was curious, so he landed and investigated further. It turns out that the bear near the site killed and ate Timothy and Annie. Parts of human flesh were found inside the bear's stomach, while the ghastly sight of the couple's mangled remains around the campsite terrified the associate. In 85 years, this was the only recorded case of humans being eaten alive by a bear. YouTube thinks you should watch this video next.